town in disaster. At least that's what Boyertown was in January of 1908. The area will always be known for the Opera House disaster, the fire that ravaged a theater, killing 170 and leaving numerous others injured. Boyertown's Opera House Committee organized the Opera House Fire Remembrance Walk, which highlighted several of the key buildings and locations in the town at the time of the fire, such as the fire companies that responded to the blaze, the newspaper that reported on it, the churches that later held the funerals, and the Opera House owner's original home. These are just a few highlights of the 30 total locations on the historic tour. A host was at each location dressed in costume to describe the location and its relevance to the history of the fire.
There were 2 sets of funerals for them. The one was at 9 o'clock. 13 funerals were held at 9. Each one had its own hearse that came down here, and if you remember 1908, we're talking horse and buggy hearse, not a normal automobile hearse.
This gentleman's father was the editor from 1871 to 1884.
And this was actually the Keystone Firehouse, and then it later became the Borough Hall.
Along with these locations included the churches, St. John's Lutheran being the sponsor of the performance the very night of the fire.
Reverend Weber was burned horribly, face, neck, arms, and hands. He was not able, I think it's irony, you have 78 people in your church who just passed away on the same day, and you can't even perform a funeral.
The building where the Opera House once stood now houses several small shops in Boyertown, but it will never replace the 170 lives lost that night. The reason so many were trapped inside was because the doors opened inward, wedging people inside the fiery inferno. This is one of the largest reasons that federal law now requires doors to open outward in all public places.
About 3 or 4 months after the fire, this building was one of the first ones to have its doors altered so that they opened outward.
The committee plans to have another walk after the summer on October 7th. Hopefully the weather will prove to be as fair as it was this time around. Zachary Reinert, Boyertown Live.